Can I ask you about the National Strategy Group? This thing that came up in the media the other week. I was quite intrigued when I heard this. It sounded like some sort of inner star chamber. Is it a way that, just put it into context, people who don't know what we're talking about, please, as well, can you?
Yes, I've been concerned that we have no central, and haven't really in the past had any central coordinating group looking at the broader workings of the service delivery within departments, but more in particularly dealing with the international agenda for the island. The international agenda is going to be a major issue for the island in the next few months. There are some big problems on the horizon, and it's most important that we coordinate work across government. So the NSG, National Strategy Group, consists of myself as chairman, Mr. Tier, the Treasury Minister, and Mr. Shimon, the Economic Development Minister, because clearly those are the three key areas dealing with the international agenda. Alongside that, we have our key officers, the Chief Financial Officer, Chief Secretary, Director of External Affairs, and Economic Advisor. So it is a key group which is going to oversee and coordinate the international agenda in particular.
Fast tracking? Getting something ready for the rest of the council to then consume?
If needs be, it has the power and the ability to cut through red tape to bring speedy solution to some of the issues which crop up. It's still evolving at the moment, but in particular it's being focused on the international side of things at present because it's most important, certainly with those three ministers, myself, the Treasury Minister and Economic Development Minister. We're off island on a regular basis now, meeting people either to deflect criticism and problems for the island or to attract new business to the island. And it's most important that we all know exactly what's going on, what each other's up to, so there is a coordinated message going to the outside world.
Because those with the conspiracy, look at this, they think this is some sort of Alan Bell inner cabinet.
Yes, the Isle of Man has more than its fair share of conspiracy theorists, I'm afraid. I have to live in the real world. The Isle of Man is fighting a battle for survival at the moment. We are in a very challenging period economically.
You say that all the time, though, but how bad? I mean, you keep rolling it out. Are we meant to feel worse all the time about this? Or?
No, it's not to make anyone feel bad about it, but people have got to stay focused on it. The conspiracy theorists fire out all sorts of glib solutions to the issues that we're dealing with. These are very serious issues we're dealing with now. The world economy is still struggling. The Isle of Man is lucky that it's still in growth, but we are under severe pressure in a number of areas, and things could turn against us very quickly. But in particular, the international agenda, particularly leading from what is known as FATCA, the United States Initiative on Automatic Exchange of Information, that will have severe ramifications in a number of areas, and that problem is building up as we speak.
Okay, well, you're putting the market down constantly, and I'm hoping one day that we'll hear when things are getting better again, but that's not yet.
Well, if I didn't put the market down now, and issues blew up in the next few weeks or next few months, and I hadn't alerted people to it, I would be rightly criticised for either keeping things quiet or complacency. Neither of those is true. The government is very much focused on these external threats, and they have to take precedence over everything at the moment, and I will continue to warn people that complacency is not acceptable in the present circumstances, because most of what we are dealing with at the moment is still very, very fragile.
Finally, Summerland's come back on the agenda. It's one of those things that just constantly goes on. That should have been a big leisure centre by now. Then it all felt, well, it was one of the ideas. They were given a chance, weren't they, the Sefton Group, to look at it. Yeah. There was a window while they dropped some. In fact, there are some nice graphics showing this lovely building. That's obviously way gone now. Yeah. We're still left with half the aquadrome hanging off the wall, which must be, you're talking about making people feel good. That isn't the first thing people want to see maybe on the Isle of Man. But it has been bizarrely there for just so long, and nothing has happened. What's your government doing about it?
It's not so much that nothing's happened. There have been a number of proposals for the site over the years. One of the biggest problems has exactly been what you've described. It's the stability of the cliff, and if some of the remaining building which is still attached to that cliff was removed, it could well bring down the whole cliff. That's been the fear in the past. Now, government has looked at all different ways of dealing with this. There have been a number of private sector initiatives. As we know, they didn't come to anything in the end. Government at the moment doesn't have the money to develop that site. It is an eyesore. It's a disgrace that it's been left as long as it has. It undoubtedly drags down the appearance of Douglas. It also, of course, harbours many sad memories for people as to what's happened there. So it deserves to be dealt with rather than just abandoned as it would appear to be at the moment. The council's decision now is to put it out to tender and just to test the market to see what interest there might be. Bearing in mind we are in difficult times at the moment and finance may not be readily available for speculative development.
You don't need it for your own land banking then?
No. I think we've got to be realistic. Government in the present climate cannot hang on to everything. If we can find a way of encouraging a buyer and a developer for the site, it will give government some extra funding as a result of the sale of that site, and it also will stimulate new work streams for the construction industry and hopefully ultimately a new building either for leisure or indeed for residential, whatever the outcome might be.
Have you got a preference what you'd like to see there?
I think most people would like to see some form of leisure facility. After all, that is the history of the site going back for many years. But we have to be realistic in the present climate. That may not always be possible. We have to consider the difficulty in accessing finance for any speculative building, as I've said, whether it's for leisure, whether it's for hotels, whether it's for residential. We will just have to see what the market throws up. There won't be easy. I don't expect to see a queue of people knocking on our door, but at least it's back on the marketplace now, and we're sending out the message that we wish to see this site developed as quickly as possible.
And just something comes to mind, it'll be, I think, 40 years next year that the original Summerland burned down, wasn't it?
Yes.
Will the government be doing anything about this? I mean, there is a small memorial there, but by today's standards, it's never been quite sort of looked at in the same way as you
No,
expect.
I don't think there's a particular plan at the moment for a further noting of that date. There is, as you rightly say, a small plaque there to commemorate, and I was at the unveiling of that many years ago. But it is still something, I think, which hurts people that there hasn't been a more permanent recognition of what happened, and maybe as time moves on we will move towards that. And certainly if the site is developed, I'm sure that'll be borne in mind as the site itself is designed.
Chief Minister, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.